Once again, welcome to the show. We hope that Skan will join us later on again. We also hope that GoldenFox will join us, because we don't know. He probably did his own live stream last night a little bit too long, and probably is still sleeping. Too bad.
You may want to still send Skan an invite, by the way.
Yeah.
I sent him a link, but I don't know if it's correct.
Yeah, I also did so.
Oh.
And there's Skan!
Is he in? Awesome!
Okay.
Stare to our souls.
Oh, the demon dog is still missing.
Has he got audio? God damn, this is so much technical difficulties.
Okay, I can hear him now.
Okay, all we are missing now is
quiet again, but not too quiet, I guess.
Okay.
How loud is it to the stream?
I'm closing windows, so maybe I'll be louder now.
Yep, now you're louder. I don't know how that works exactly, that closing windows made you louder, but it worked, so that's good.
I hate Google.
Okay, now
really
to finally
incredible.
get things started. Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
Never! Let's just keep avoiding the topic.
Yay.
What topic? The topic of loudness.
Now
Yeah,
I feel
okay.
like we have to really put effort into this to make up for all the time that these people have had to wait.
Yeah.
For half an hour.
We can do this.
We have to make it good.
We will make
Have we
it.
ever been professional?
Yes, because we are here today to talk about yesterday's episode, the Mystery Magical Cure. And with me are Byter, welcome to the show.
Blarg.
Digibrony.
Hello.
And behind the demon dog, Skan120.
Bark.
Hello.
Hello, Skan.
He said bark.
Well,
Okay, and we are still hoping for GoldenFox to join us as well. My last stand was that he is going to join us, so he's probably, I don't know. If anybody lives close by GoldenFox, go there and ring the bell until he wakes up. So, okay. So, yeah. By the way, about this episode, I want to start with a little anecdote, because about the tense feelings in regards to this episode. Yesterday, I watched the episode live with a few bronies, with a few local bronies around here. And yeah, one of them, at the moment Twilight turned unicorn, he grabbed his already prepared half-full bottle of vodka and emptied it in only a few minutes.
Fucking champ.
He was just running around the room screaming, "No, no, no!" Finally, he broke the key to his locked room, so he was locked out of his room. He still was totally insane and punched a few holes into the door of his
Oh my god.
He was totally nuts.
That dude got fucked up.
What I want to tell you with this anecdote is, please everybody, keep calm. And now we want to talk about a certain episode.
Brony on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was certainly divisive, very polarizing.
Yeah.
Yes, it sure is.
I'll set a little bit of a stage for this, since I've pretty much spent all night camping out in the comments of my video for it, of which there have been about 500 comments, so I've seen the entire gamut of people's opinions on this episode, so it is extremely divisive, because I've gotten probably 30 to 40% of the comments are people which, by the way, if you haven't seen my video, I was nothing but gushing lavish praise upon the episode, because I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So I got 30 to 40% of the comments just people going, yes, I agree, I'm so glad someone else agrees with me, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And then I got about 35% of people who are going, the pacing was terrible, I kind of liked it, but I hated the pacing. And then the remaining percentage, I'm too lazy to do the math,
Was Byter.
was people like Byter who really hated the episode.
I didn't actually talk much about the episode.
Yeah, you actually didn't. You mostly just were making fun of me for not measuring up to your argument standards or something, but yeah, a lot of people...
No, I wasn't making fun, I was just making a logical point. Anyway, we really shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there were enough people who genuinely hated the episode that you can say it was pretty much all over the place. The opinions are very spread out about this one.
I'm not sure. I've never seen someone say meh or it was average.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say that after a character turns into an alicorn. I don't think anyone's like, yeah, that was just whatever. I forgot everything that happened in that episode. It's like, that's kind of hard to forget.
I forgot most of it.
Did you forget that Twilight became an alicorn?
I remember that, but I don't really care at all. You say I really hated it. It's not really that. I just extremely apathetic.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It failed to entertain me, and it failed to tell me a good story. So, bleh. It's just the same as like last episode.
Right.
Just they do more high-minded concepts, and it's now a musical.
Yeah.
I could continue.
Someone Skan120, you gonna?
Yes.
chime in?
Sorry, I was still hung up on the whole technical side of things.
You look like you were in a daze.
I'm on the side of the people on the pacing. It was like a friggin' train ride right there. I was personally ticked off at the episode because the concept they went for at the beginning of the episode is one of my favorite plot lines, and is supposed to be used to tie people together closer, give them a better understanding, but I didn't feel that any of the ponies learned anything except for Twilight. The rest were just there along for the ride.
Yep.
So you're saying that the episode did not do the concept. You like the concept of the episode from seeing it in other places? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's a popular thing.
Because the thing is, you're kind of... It sounds like that means you're bringing your sort of preconceived notion of what this should have been into the episode.
He said that the others didn't do anything.
What he's saying, he's just explained that he likes this concept from seeing it in other shows. He likes the way it's handled in those shows and wanted it to be handled that way in this show. Is that correct, Skan?
Not exactly handled correctly, but when you got the whole switching thing going on, it should be about the people being switched. It shouldn't be about a person on the outside.
I don't think that it has to be about that one thing. The switching can be about whatever they were trying to use it for in the context of this episode, which in this case they were not trying to use it for that specific purpose, so it doesn't need to serve that specific purpose.
Well, we can start analysing how this episode tries to engage its audience. It hits the ground running, and I certainly agree with you in the sense that it doesn't ever take things slow.
Yeah.
It just goes boom straight into song / exposition. That's
actually a funny thing because you in your review, Digi, you also said that this whole denseness was actually a selling point for you, that you really enjoyed it being so dense and jumping so much. And funny thing is, I rather liked the episode as well, but I would have preferred it to be more spread out. So maybe one whole episode about the switching thing, and then the second episode about the transformation or something like this.
So. I've seen a lot of comments to that effect. I think Brony Curious is saying the same thing. He has not made his video yet, but he was talking to me about it. He pretty much is saying that too. Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus, and I just don't get it, because there's nothing I wanted that was not there. There was nothing that I felt like, oh, I got cheated out of this or something. I loved everything that happened, and I wasn't left wanting more personally. Except, of course, I want to see more of what happens with Twilight, the princess, but of course I know I'm going to get another season of that, so it doesn't bother me.
I was left with not wanting to find a reason to care. It is so full of itself, immediately jumping into song, and then more songs, and for me, it never... if it's trying to sell that emotional story, the songs are always... I don't know, they they didn't actually elicit that emotion in me. I think I've had difficulty trying to understand how these songs worked or didn't work, in the sense that a lot of the time it's basically expositional stuff's going on through song. It doesn't play to the... It's got lots of complex stuff going on and character interactions and things, but the background music, it feels very samey for most of it. It's sort of using different combinations of instruments, but it's all got the same kind of tone. The timbre is really flat. It felt flat to me. That if we watch a great, one of the other grand musicals, something's on stage. All the songs are very distinct. The singers are usually very distinct. The styles, they go from one to another, because it's all a musical. Everything they do is song, but they mix it up and get you through generally quite a simple story. They just have the "This is the guy" song, and then they have "This is his home" song, and they have "This is what's happened to him" song. In this one, though, it certainly is a lot crammed into one bit, and I just didn't really feel much from those songs. The thing is, at least when the songs were done in previous seasons, they were a little set piece, and they were justified, and they added their own little unique twist in terms of tone and presentation and the timbre that made for that little part of the episode. This one, though, it's an entire musical episode. And it's not just the story's pacing was condensed to all hell. It was the songs themselves failed to engage me, and they actually undermined the emotional feelings it tried to elicit in me. It's trying to tell some kind of deep friendship story, but everyone's just lolling around laughing in some big huge choreographed affair. Everything, if you want it to be emotional, then you really want a super emotional song, but all of them have the kind of similar beat. All of them are so the same. I'm not sure. It all blurred into one big huge mess for me.
It's interesting to hear you say that, just because I could not to you verbalize why the songs worked for me, why I did feel emotional about it, because I don't know, I'm not good at analyzing music. I never have been. I've always wanted to be, but I never have been. All I know is that it had a lot of big key moments that, I cried through most of this episode, like 3 of the 4 times I watched it. So when we got to it was just so much. There's so many different reasons. Like the big moment that always makes me cry is in the True True Friend song. There's the part where they they're in Ponyville, and Pinky, when she got the glasses on and she's like, "Hey, every pony, I want to see you smile," and it's like, I've just gone through each of these journeys, and each time there's a bit of a build on the music. Like they'll when they end the chorus, they'll end it on a different higher note. I noticed this when I was trying to sing it all day yesterday. So they keep ending it on like a higher note at the end of the chorus, and it keeps building up with a bit more of like a crescendo going into. When you get to Pinky's part, you have like AJ suddenly hits this really high note, sending Pinky on stage. She's like, what does she say? We'd appreciate a lot, so bring us something from here to Canterlot. She like hits this big note, and then Pinky goes on stage, and she's like, "I want to see you smile." And then just the whole crowd in unison just, "Pinky!" And every time I see that, I lose my shit. And then it goes right into the Smile Song scene, where they're all doing Pinky's walk cycle from the Smile Song. That shit just kills me, because I cry almost every time I watch the Smile Song, and that walk sequence is so iconic and so emblematic of everything that makes Pinky great.
You cry because of the walk cycle?
Yes, I love that walk cycle. Because it means a lot to me. I watched when I got into the MLP fandom was right before A Friend Indeed came out. Or it was like, I think 2 episodes before that. And that episode came out, and it was my favorite episode of the show up until that point. And someone did an analysis of the walk cycle, breaking down the animation in it, because it was such an emblematic thing. It was specifically made to the beat of that song and everything, and it was just this really, yeah, like I said, emblematic. It was this specific beat, and everyone in the scene is doing it, and it's, you know, clearly calling back to the scene. It's got the same buildings, the same way everyone's walking through the street. So it's like the memory of Smile Song is coming back, and everyone screams Pinky's name. It's right at the high point in the True True Friend song, and then they all hug and everything, and it's just this culmination of these elements, these specific things that have been with me, carried since Smile Song, you know, all come rushing back to me in that moment. That's why I've said that that this episode for me, it used the continuity so well because of moments like that, where it's calling back to old episodes of the show and it's basically reusing those emotions, repurposing them for this new episode, and making them resurface. That's how I felt about it.
I didn't feel that at all, but yeah.
I might have gotten into those kind of things, except there was just so much that seemed wrong with it outside. In fact, everything I have wrong with the episode actually has nothing to do with Alicorn Twilight, actually. I could care less about that part of it. The other parts I'm having trouble with, one, Ponyville, the entire place seemed out of character. I know that these 6 ponies are important, but they seem to make them seem that if these 6 left, the entire town would crumble.
Yeah.
We had Rainbow Dash no longer doing her dirty. Isn't there other weather Pegasus? I mean, she says she's part of a team. Is she a team of 1?
Goldblade is suddenly online on Skype.
I actually got a bit confused at that bit. Like, I think it was just after the Rarity scene, and all the Ponyvillians surround Twilight and start talking at her. And it's like, oh no, and it has like Doctor Who's right in front of us, right next to her, and he's got a crescent moon cutie mark.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is everyone's cutie marks changing?
That's what I thought at that part too. I got confused at that.
So it's like, oh, that's why everyone's acting out of character and completely weird. And though I don't, I get the switch thing.
Also
could be
like, I mean, you know that Pinky interacts with the town and stuff, but in this one they show it as she's literally the only happiness in the town. Without Pinky, no happiness. So how did Ponyville survive before she moved there?
Yeah, that was a bit over the top, I believe, as well. Also, another another aspect that bothered me a bit about it was, the very. It is about the thing. I believe you, Digi, you mentioned in your video, like there was something of a memory loss thingy. There was something I was wondering as well. Does obviously the memory loss affects the 5, because they believe they always lived this life, even though they clearly don't. Have the
They
skills.
seem to be they actually just seem to be compelled to do what the others were doing.
Yeah, but they believe when Twilight and Rarity the very first time speak, Rarity is like, "No, I always did it. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that's what's weird. It was there's some kind of memory distortion going on there.
It was weird.
It was selected memory replacement.
It was very strange. It was something we could, it's obviously left open-ended, and you can easily read a meaning into it, but none was specified.
I was left confused at that bit. It's just like, what the hell is going on? What's going on with our characters? And the songs are still quite happy and cheery, and then I still don't get the whole changing cutie mark thing, and they're doing the wrong thing. Like, even if you think this is what you've always been doing, it's quite obvious, Rarity, that you're not doing very good with the weather.
Yeah.
So
it's something very strange.
I'm hearing something.
Why does she keep trying to affect the weather? Why does
I think they should have addressed it more.
Yeah.
I think they should have stopped the episode right after Twilight is vaporized. and given that 7 to 8 minutes to more devotion to the storyline.
Again, though, it just didn't, for me personally, it just didn't bother me. I mean, it is confusing, I'll give you that. And, you know, if they had an explanation of that, that would be nice. But it didn't bother me personally to not have an explanation for that.
Well.
And GoldenFox is now
here. I
here.
just wanted to say, may I interrupt you, because we have another member in our room. Hello, Fox, how are you doing?
We cannot hear you at all.
Your microphone seems to be muted.
Check your mute.
Check the top. Is it red microphone mute?
No sound whatsoever. I'm not even getting a green bar under him. Can see
can you hear me now?
Yes, now you're here.
Okay, good.
Okay, welcome to the show, GoldenFox.
Let's try again.
Wow.
Rearranging everything. So,
Yep.
how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
What happened?
You had some confusion about time zones, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, damn it.
I thought you said 1 p.m. here. Apparently it's 1 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yeah,
you said
Yes,
EST
that's that.
and...
Oh, damn it.
Dear.
But well,
Well, don't worry. We spent like half the hour with technical difficulties.
actually.
Yeah, so we're actually kind of just started. We've only been doing it about 15
And we are losing
minutes.
frames again. Wait, no.
Funny about that, last night when I started live streaming, I had the same problem, audio issues, trying to synchronize everything from what's on the computer, what's on the webcam, what's in the Skype conversation. So,
Well, there's always going to be lag. It was just that we couldn't even get it up
all right.
on the live stream.
All right.
Anyway, you're here.
So, yeah, who wants to bring Fox up to speed where
Well-
we're at?
So far we haven't established much, have we?
Yeah.
We've mostly just been throwing out a lot of general ideas about the episode.
Yeah.
I
so
mean, we've
we
been
might
talking
as well-
about how it starts up, how that first song, how those songs are effective, how they're not, what that elicits in the audience. Or at least that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
What's your? I mean, well, we've all sorts of given our opinions. GoldenFox, what's yours on this episode?
In the episode. Well, to get one thing out of the way, I think I agree with what everybody else was saying. It was a little too rushed, and it should have been split into 2 parts instead of condensed down to 1 part. The pacing was a little too quick. It didn't give us enough time for us to think and see what's going on. But aside from that, I loved everything else. The animation, the musical numbers, and what was happening.
I guess I'm the only stalwart defender of the pacing in this particular chat. There is, I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who believes that the pacing is fine. I've had a number of people who've reaffirmed for me that I'm not crazy. But yes, in this chat, I'm the only one who's completely fine with the pacing.
Which chat are
Again,
you
there's
looking
nothing
at? Because, by the way, the live stream is, at least at the moment, running again with the fancy look. But probably
really?
Probably.
So we're now open in 2 different places,
Yes,
and
we
there's
are.
people chatting in both of them.
Yes.
Great.
Ah.
That's not confusing at all. YouTube people, you could go back to live stream if you want. It's got a much better chat, and
it'll go down.
Oh no, the frame rate is already dropping again.
Oh god damn it!
Yeah. One question, Fox. How many viewers did you have yesterday when there were problems with the live stream?
I had about 33 views, and then it started to drop down to about 20-some.
Okay.
And then slowly afterwards
no,
it started to decrease.
It's the frame rate
We
problem.
were at 50 most of the night.
Okay.
Oh, frame difficulty? I don't know how problematic the frame rate was.
Okay.
There was a couple of lags here and there, but that's natural.
Ah, okay. No, because this was the thing. At the beginning, every single frame dropped, and we weren't able to podcast at all. At least not to live stream.
Thank you, by the way, to everyone who's in the chat currently telling me
and
I'm
who
not crazy.
stuck with us, even so it was terrible.
They're all lying, Digibrony. You're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
Nope. The thing
Technical
is,
difficulties.
Isn't it always those who
I just don't.
are crazy are spending all their time saying, "I'm not crazy."
Nope.
Like, I just feel like, honestly, I feel like me and Byter are kind of like, we're like on 2 sides of the same coin here, where you can't really understand why the musicals are effective, and I can't really understand why people think the pacing isn't effective. It's
Just
just
because
not.
you throw stuff at us
Never.
doesn't mean it's immediately emotional with me. That you have to set the scene and get me to appreciate what's going on. Sorry, Skan.
Music.
Well, that's kind of legitimate.
It's a very hard thing to use to run a story because everybody's taste is going to run differently. There are rarely songs that'll catch everybody's interest, so if you're going to run an entire thing on the story on songs, there's going to be people who don't like the song, not because the music's bad, because it's not to their taste.
Yeah, I am starting to wonder.
All these songs almost are exactly the same, so if you don't like one of them, you most likely don't all like all of them. Thus, they made it so if anybody doesn't like the music this episode, they hate it.
Yeah,
but I think you might actually have. I think that might actually be the core of this. Sorry, ANY.
No problem. You can probably say it the most because you had all these comments in regards of this episode. Are there a lot of people who?
Well, because nobody's.
Are there a lot of
not
people
as many people have
actually okay? You go first.
Not many has been breaking down.
There's like a lot of lagging happening right now. It's just making this even more confusing. But I'm also hearing something in the background.
Yeah, that's probably because GoldenFox and I both don't use headsets, so we have.
Anyway, what I was gonna try to say is that not a lot of people have commented about. A lot of people have said that the music goes too fast. There's too many songs, but no one's gotten really into the bones of why that's a bad thing.
Well, there's also
and it really is a matter of taste. I think.
I'll be down in a minute.
Like
I have to get down in a sec.
All right.
We've lost GoldenFox already.
There was
okay.
I've had one comment. There's a guy who comments on all of my posts when I put these videos on my blog. There's a guy who leaves these like epic length comments on all my videos, and I love this guy because he leaves the best. But he didn't care for this episode, and he specifically said it's because he hates musicals. He really just could not buy into the musical aspect of it at all. And he said, I appreciate it. I don't think it was necessarily poorly paced, but I just hate musicals, and the music did nothing for me, and I didn't care about anything that happened. And he was also asking a lot of questions where he was like, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like I was not supposed to be worried about that I am worried about because I didn't care. In a way, his perspective of it reminded me of Byters, but phrased in a way that was easier for me to digest.
Well, yeah, because you like rambling things on text, and I'm speaking it to you now, trying to be parsimonious. But there's also a thing with the songs that they are so samey. When it's
but that's the weird thing is that you're saying they're samey, and to me they weren't that samey. I mean, it sounds like it's one artist making all of them, but they all have a specific tone to me. I can easily tell them all. I mean, the Celestia song has this sort of, it's like very calm. It's a ballad. It's got these feelings of like pride and it's like simultaneously a feeling of closing a chapter and beginning it.
How does it actually sound if it didn't have the vocals?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It gives me that feeling even in the music.
From the very beginning.
They sound nothing alike. The first one is all upbeat and jump to it's morning in Ponyville,
Yeah, the episode does have a lot of mood swings.
Morning in Ponyville. I said without the vocals.
Seemed pretty upbeat, except for one. The only one that stood out was the sad song with Twilight.
And it wasn't even that sad.
Otherwise, the other four...
That was the Usher song.
Yeah, because the other four, every time I got into it, I just got the same feels from them. They just seemed kind of like they were continuations of the same song. I could add a few keys, and you could probably turn it into just one song.
Why is that a bad thing? I don't get why that's a problem.
It's a question of...
It's a bad thing because it's going back to what I said about if you've got all these songs that are so similar, that means if one person doesn't like it, they like all four of them.
I mean, I get why it's bad from the perspective of
different enough
of taste.
If it was different enough, then you'd have, if they were different enough, you'd have, okay, I don't like this one song, but the other four are okay, so I'm okay with this. But because they're so similar, that if you get a little dislike or meh to one of them, you'll most likely get it to all of them.
I think I have a reason behind this one. Because the mood is so randomly different that you kind of lose focus on what you're supposed to feel.
I didn't feel that way. at all.
It does change quite quickly.
Yeah, it changes so fast that it's hard to like realize whether or not you're supposed to feel sad or feel happy. It's just
Happy
That's
opening scene.
That's going to come down to
Sad.
such a person-by-person thing, though, depending on how quickly. I mean, I don't know if I just changed up that quickly. I mean, I'm trying to make this not sound like it's somehow me bragging or saying that I'm some kind of emotional chameleon or something, that I'm like somehow different or whatever, but that's, to me, it was moving at a rhythm that really resonated with me, where I love the way this episode moved. To me, it was the best paced episode of like the whole show. So like I was specifically in love with the pacing of this episode. So when people were, assaulting the pacing, I was like, what? This is the best pacing I've ever seen. And pacing is kind of a big deal to me.
You pretty much.
Yeah, you guys would call me insane when I say I love the moral of a friend in need, so I kind of don't blame him on this one.
This also isn't surprising to me in a way, because this reminds me of how I used to feel as an anime blogger, where people always thought the things I liked were strange, so or the way I liked things was strange. So I'm kind of used to this feeling of the way I like it is different from the way other people like it. It's just weird that would happen within the same show, where this one specific episode I like in a way that's so specific and is the exact opposite of what everyone else feels about it. It feels very strange to witness that unfolding before me, but it makes it really hard for me to talk to anyone about it, because it's like I totally feel the opposite, and I can't make you feel what I felt. I can't make you quite understand that,
Then you are failing as a communicator if you are unable to elucidate your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I've elucidated, but I can't make you feel it. I mean, I hope you're understanding.
You don't need to make someone else to feel the exact same way you do. All you need to do is make it appreciable. And yeah, I can appreciate that you are very much invested in the show and could go along with the emotional changes and the events going along at the same time.
Well,
For others, however, they need the scene to be set up.
Right.
That they need to have a kind of appreciation of what's going on screen.
And I can appreciate your desire as well for that to happen.
We have that happy scene at the beginning, and then sploosh, some talking exposition-y dialogue, and then sad song. Complete 180. We're confused that the cutie mark thing.
I would say this one is intentional. This first, they set up, I believe.
Well, you're doing emotional whiplash.
Yeah, but
it's still a quick change, isn't it? Yeah, but it's still a very quick change. We're starting to ask questions, and we're sort of like, oh, okay, things are happy and fine. Oh, things are really sad all of a sudden. That's sad.
Yeah, but this was intended. Actually,
well, then,
I also see that the density of the episode as a whole is something. Yeah, for DG it's perfect density. For me, it's slightly a bit too dense, and for a lot of people, it's apparently far too dense. I don't know, but actually,
this definitely.
Here's the thing with traditional story structure. I'm not sure you guys have heard of it, but it's called the 3-act structure, where you start nice and simple, you have escalating tension, and then you have denouement. It's a normal distribution.
Yeah, it's another thing
However,
that's...
in this episode, it hits the ground running and stays flat through the whole thing.
One question at this point, Byter. How do you like Quentin Tarantino films?
Don't know.
Okay, because if
do
you want to
know
say
because you haven't seen them, or do you not know because you just don't have an opinion right now?
I can't remember which one it is, and probably haven't watched.
Have you seen Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards, Kill Bill, Django Unchained, or Reservoir Dogs? None of those?
Nope.
Okay, then my argument goes nowhere.
Now see, I'm a giant. I happen to be a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. He's my favorite director, so I totally get exactly where you were going with that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of. I like non-traditional storytelling. I specifically am a fan of that. So yeah, that's another reason.
It depends though what his films go for.
Yeah.
And this one, it was going for a musical. It's going for a musical, and it's going for a story. And the 3-act structure, for whatever its traditionalness, is quite good at telling stories and getting people invested in the story.
No argument there, but is it necessarily bad just because it is not following a 3-act structure?
Well, it's because it doesn't mean that. But what I'm saying is we have a flat line. And on that flat line, you're trying to tell radically changing emotions and settings. Leaving your audience having...
I don't think it's so randomly. So it's very, very fast.
It's a roll-on of events and feelings.
I believe Skan wants to
There's
say
another
something?
thing in the episode that really, really bugs me. Yeah, there's another thing that really, really bugs me in this episode. And that's the whole spell in the first place. What was the point of it? From what we saw, it switches up the cutie marks and then teleports you to space. But what if Celestia doesn't show up? So what it essentially looks like is it looks like a troll spell. Switch the cutie marks and then take the person who can fix it and get rid of them.
It's all a dream.
Oh, jeez.
A horrific dream.
Yes, and Twilight was no longer in Kansas.
Yeah,
but it's nowhere. It's
you could say that she wasn't in Kansas anymore.
It was an odd spell even within the context of the show, where the show is always you have to have the entire spell and it's about concentration. Whereas this time you read the beginning of it and it does one function, which is change the cutie marks around. And then once you've sorted that out, you tell by the random thought in your brain that suddenly appears the rest of the spell.
Yeah.
What spells before have used a verbal component? What spells haven't worked off concentration?
I feel like there had to have been one.
There's only one spell, and it wasn't by a unicorn, and that was the pool that made replicas.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Season
think.
3 magic.
I haven't watched enough Season 2 recently to remember if it happened.
Most of the time she just...
Anyone in the chat remember another spell that had, like, dialogue in it?
No, not that I know of. All I know is that the horn glows and magic is committed.
Oh, but maybe
And
it's the thing
the
about
horn was
special
only glowing.
spells. Yeah, but maybe it's the thing
It
about
only
special
worked-
spells that you that some spells need an incantation. The word is missing. You know what I'm
A
talking.
vocal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
incantation.
Incantation. Thanks a lot. Some spells maybe need an incantation.
It's about
to work.
time.
Was it? I'm not sure, but it could have.
What do they have in that?
Right. Berkeley and Lion is saying that it had to have words, and it's about... I mean, I know it has to have words. That's the question did her speaking the spell cast it, or was she just learning the spell's words and then she casted it separately? That's the question.
She probably may have read it out loud, and then again, that whole period that they made it so dramatic of, when you see the quill hit the paper, as soon as that's written down, it's... You know what? Now I'm getting mixed up.
She didn't.
It still begs the question of what the spell was supposed to do, because it's always there. So it's supposed to send you. You're ready for an outcome. Well, let's say you have the whole spell at the same time. Would you even stop to switch back the cutie marks, or is that part of the spell too?
Well, I believe...
Let's switch around the cutie marks and teleport. Okay, what was the point?
I'm trying to remember what was the actual incantation of Starswell the Bearded's spell. It was something that was kind of confusing, and I was trying to think about it, but I didn't give enough thought to it.
How do you write only the first half of the thing anyway? I mean, how do you start writing spells in this universe?
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be thoroughly thought out and headcanoned and other things before it can really be fully understood.
This spell, though, is fairly important to the episode, I'd say, and we have absolutely no clue about it.
Yeah, it is a key point. Supposedly, it's what makes an alicorn.
It makes the alicorn.
Well, it's not the spell
it makes the
specifically.
conflict.
Yeah.
It's not so much the spell as the ability to write the spell that makes you an alicorn.
I wanted to say, how did Cadence
reads the
become
whole
an alicorn?
spell. doesn't she read the whole spell out and then it works?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
you
but what
have to
specifically
use the
did the spell do? Did the spell make her an alicorn, or did the spell just send her to this other realm where then
it sent you to the
Celestia
Throne of Testament.
I would say the spell kills you and then lets you get reborn by as an angel with wings, and after meeting your goddess.
Okay, that's kind of creepy, dude. Honestly, I just think that the magic works with the genetics.
Let's look at it this way. What's really confusing about the spell is it seems to only work if you don't have it all at the same time. Because if you were to read the whole thing at once, you'd get the switch, and then you'd be gone.
That would
You would not have time to fix in everything. You would not have time to, prove that you learned.
Everybody just freeze?
No.
No, it's
Okay,
fine.
you were all
Everything
just
is
quiet.
fine here, and the transmissions are also working.
Here's a silly idea. What happened if Celestia read the spell? She has a visitation by herself.
You know what? I'll bet that something like that probably set up some of the villains
Or
to some extent. Like,
I want to address real quick.
Luna's
in
and
the
Cadence cutie mark could have get changed.
no, in the chat, Berkeley and Lion has said the actual mechanics aren't important. The intent is. I agree from a perspective of me watching the episode. I didn't care about the mechanics, but I guess if we are trying to world build and keep consistency, it will matter. Trying to do that throughout this entire show is about fucking impossible. So it doesn't. It's not something I try to do too much.
But even its usage in there, it's odd compared to other spells. It's not just, why do you have to read it out? It's, why is it you read half of it out and it has a completely different function? Why is it then when you find the rest of it, you become an alicorn?
I'd say it's some kind of combination of the written word, the spoken word, and yeah, that's it. The written and the spoken word.
I think the story doesn't dwell too much on it. It's a magic spell that does what it needs.
Yeah.
It has its symbolic meaning ascribed to it for what meaning they were trying to attribute to that episode and each scene as it goes along.
He says, I still think she reads it out for the benefit of the audience, not because she had to read it out loud. She's read spells before, and I agree with that. It's just one of those things where the presentation is confusing. That's why I don't want to jump to a conclusion like, did reading the spell actually activate it with the original spell, because it's really hard to say.
Yeah, it's probably they just read it out because they wanted the words to have some sort of meaning. And it could be possible that all the spells have some vocal component that you say internally.
Because clearly she has to read these spells, so all of them consist of words at some stage. She learns her spells mostly by reading them, except for the dark magic that we saw in
she learned
what's the hell is it called?
Crystal Empire.
And that, by the way, at that point when she copied that spell by watching it was the point where I officially gave up on trying to interpret magic way back then, so that's also part of why I did not try to address this point too much.
Well, how the magic works in this universe is fairly important if it's ever going to be doing any changes. I don't mind if it's just Twilight can teleport, that's fine. Twilight can, people could pick up objects. It doesn't really matter.
Or use telekinesis.
Yeah, telekinesis. But when it's a major plot point like this,
wait, when did
I
anybody
need to
use
understand the
telekinesis?
rules of this universe.
Hold on a second, Byter. What, did you?
When did somebody use telekinesis?
Dude, that's always been around. Every time you see Twilight's horn glow, something that they commit to is lifted.
Levitate.
Yeah, I was trying to
Does
think.
it all the time
I was
as well.
thinking I was thinking of telepathy. Not telekinesis.
No.
Okay.
No, not so far.
Wrong telephone.
It's when we have magic as an important plot point in the episode, then we need to have an understanding of how this magic works and what this magic means, if we are sort of to appreciate what happens with that magiciness. And here in this context, it left a lot of questions. And it was kind of, what? How is it working? She read it out loud and now it's caused this conflict?
Ah.
Yeah.
And then she learns more of it somehow. It felt more contrived to me. More, it's not like it's not because I'm expecting them to learn about the lessons of friendship and she becomes an alicorn, unless I've read the plot synopsis.
We're having a bit of a lag issue.
Yeah,
we do. Oh.
And more.
But I know where it's coming from.
Doesn't sit well with me. Can you hear?
Yeah. I can hear.
Okay.
I know where Byter's coming.
Another thing that doesn't sit well with me with the spell is that you got the spell happen. She gets zapped. She comes back. See her friends outside. What have they been doing? They just saw their friend vaporize. And so what? Are they going for a stroll in the park or something?
Yeah, I believe there was one scene missing. Probably they ran around in panic for a moment before they saw the bright light from outside and went like, oh, what's this? I guess because they are still just in front of the library.
Yeah, so, I'm willing to bet that's probably one of the things that was cut from the episode.
Yeah,
that probably would have like...
Because
if they would have returned, there would have been like some kind of riot or something.
It's funny too because I totally didn't notice at all that they had moved the first time I watched the episode. I guess I was just so swept up in the moment, and then it wasn't until I saw other people talking about it that I was like, oh yeah, they were just like outside, weren't they? Some people thought, what if they probably thought they had killed Twilight, but I'm like, considering the like specific, like there was like glitter and a diagram on the floor and everything, they probably knew that something magic related was happening and not just that she was dead, but it is weird that they
saw
outside.
The stuff on the floor looked like a smoking crater.
Maybe they were on their way to Candlelight or something to go find out.
It actually was Twilight's cutie mark, but it still looked like a smoking crater in form of Twilight's cutie mark. So
yes,
so if everybody doesn't like the she gets killed and reborn theory, don't look my review as soon as I finish it.
Yeah, it's
also was it just me, or did the whole scene with Celestia going with all the windows showing all the old shows, did that not just scream for something to be at the end of a series, a perfect ending to a series?
It kind of was, and it totally reminded me of the endings of a lot of anime series. My brother finally made me realize the specific one I was thinking of was, if any of you have ever seen the show Madoka, Mahou Shoujo Madoka Magica, ended very similarly to this, but like the depressing version, where instead of well, spoiler alert, she like ascends to goddesshood and then like dies, and all of her friends never get to see her again. So it's like the nega version of this ending, but that specific way of just the way the
and no, there was a little lag. Digi, your last sentence was cut off.
Which sentence?
Last one.
I said it was very much like an anime ending visually, where just a lot of like. It was kind of like, I don't want to say end of Evangelion, because that's kind of way out there, but it was just that sort of, anime have a tendency to end in these weird, trippy ways with this specific kind of ending that usually happens. And that's why it was exciting to me to know that it was going to keep going, because I was like, yeah, this would make a great final episode, but we get more, so I was really pumped about that.
I don't know, because that's where you see a bunch of animes crash and burn. They do endings like that, and then they decide to up the series again, and it's like, you should have let it lie.
Well, what specific show are you talking about?
MLP,
and I've not seen this happen.
Also, I can't bring up the specifics, considering I've seen about 50 animes.
I've seen about 1,000 animes.
A lot of them do often...
MLP is not... MLP, I don't think should be ended yet. Yet as I was watching it, I'm like, okay, I'm okay turning this off and never watching MLP again. And I don't think that should be in the show this early in the thing.
No, I love that about it. I love that it's this big conclusion watching another arc.
I would have been completely satisfied with seeing that in a series and there being no more.
Yeah, I mean, I would have too, but
you shouldn't be getting those kind of scenes yet.
It's extra satisfying to get that and then have more. It's like when I watch the end of a show and it has a really satisfying ending, it's like, yeah, I'm glad it ended in a satisfying way, but I always want more. This is why I love long runners.
Well, some people perceive it differently, where if you see the clips from the show, and it's like giving you all these flashbacks of how the series has been going. It kind of makes you think in your mindset that it's coming to a series finale, not a season finale. So for what Kane is saying, that's true. But for the part of whether or not you want more of it, that's really from one perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, the series up to this point has just been about the whole group of the main six going out and having adventures. This one, it changes that dynamic. Certainly it does. It marks the end of
But does
what we're
it?
used to.
Because we don't know that until season 4 comes out. We can't really say
The
that anything's going to
dynamic,
change.
at least, has changed.
I mean,
In the
for
sense
all
she's
we
now
know-
a princess.
Yeah,
For
but
all we
is-
know,
And
they
she's
could
now a mentor figure.
Yeah, but is this
like
bad?
serious. Like we want
I haven't
to.
said that yet.
We want to think that they're going to change something because it would make sense, but for all we know, they could just do the next season like it's just regular ass MLP, but now Twilight has wings. Like they could easily do that if that's what they decided to do.
Then all the emotional epitaph about this being a big, huge scene changer is kind of bleh. Why is there two
But we
golden
don't.
foxes?
I'm just saying we don't know.
Kind
We
of just
He's
doubled?
duplicated. Holy shit! You're you're one of those Japanese foxes,
And-
aren't you?
One of you is not moving anymore.
I had an accident. Okay, so you're Skan. Okay. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, everybody,
Wow.
recommend from now on
Could
to
you-
Golden Fox 17 and 18. Oh, and
There we
Oh,
are.
there it goes. It's fixed.
Okay.
That was incredibly strange.
I myself didn't actually really like the pictures in the air scene. It was kind of like a slideshow. And for me, that isn't really the best way to put across the emotional moments of remembering what's happened in the past. I really liked the scene in Return of Harmony, where Twilight goes, with friends like you, who needs enemies? That didn't need a recap of her friends acting annoying or why she remembered them as good friends. All she did was say that line and do the single drop, and we
Wait,
knew
doesn't
what
that
she was...
then go? Doesn't that episode have a montage like this? Isn't there
It
a
has
scene
it
where there's
with
like
memory
falling
spells.
memories?
It has it with the memory spells, but that one moment there, I found the most moving, because it, after all that time, after all that build-up, finally showed Discord winning. And it didn't need to show us that he had won. It just had her saying, with friends like you, who needs enemies? We knew that she was upset. We know why she's upset. We know from previous seasons why she valued her friends. It didn't need to explicitly say that, but we have seen Twilight completely broken and has given up. To me, the scene that says the least and shows the least, but has the most depth to it, is the most moving, rather than the slideshow scenes.
IDK, I cried.
I had somewhat of an emotion, but it was just going too fast, and that's as little as I can address.
For which one? Sorry? Where?
The finale. Sorry.
Oh, this finale. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
These seem to be getting mixed up a lot.
it was weird because again it was a happy ballad thing from Celestia, which was a similar tone to the happy songs we've had for quite a few minutes up to this point anyway.
What do you got against happy songs?
I don't
Jeez.
like happy songs for 20 minutes.
I do.
Same
For
here.
me, it's just
I
singing.
love happy songs
love-
for 20 minutes.
I like
I
those
could
songs.
sing those happy songs for 20 minutes.
Wow, so it's been like all day of like Bonjour and Circle of
I mean,
Life.
I was listening to those songs like all day for the past 24 hours. A few other people in the stream have been mentioning how they've been listening to the playlist on repeat. I mean, I have heard True True Friend 12 times now, the Celestia song easily as many, so, and I've almost got the lyrics down. So I'm pretty fucking satisfied with hearing these happy songs all day. Yeah, I even mixed the Smile song in intermittently with them, so I had double the happy song going on.
For me, though, the songs were good because they had a place within the story that they were telling, that it served a purpose and added to the emotional moment it was trying to tell. So even in like Grand Galloping Gala, the 20-minute finale of season 1, we have them just basically recanting their dreams. It sets the scene to us, and it served a kind of it's very grand because that's what our main 6 are imagining.
I mean, and in fairness, that is my favorite song in the show, is the Grand Galloping Gala song. So I am not in any way in disagreement that it is better.
But the thing, no. The thing is, though, is it complements the story to come. That it was one really good, juicy moment that made poignant the stuff that was to come. And the stuff that was to come was told straight. And I didn't mind the stuff to come being told straight.
The funny thing is that when I think about it, I would have liked that episode more if it had been a musical.
I probably wouldn't have. I think it worked, though, as one song, and that one song was way more memorable to us, or at least to me, than a whole 20 minutes of songs.
So basically, it's not so much as the mood swing, but how the song would help represent the story structure.
I mean, when you have the song, it's trying to set an emotion, a tone. And in proper musicals, it does that. And it changes from emotion to emotion by changing the very genre of song they're singing. And yeah, the songs in those contexts are a juicy gem that you can justify in the story for their role. You know, if you think about, what was it, the pet one, May the Best Pet Win.
Now, Rainbow, my dear, I cannot express my delight.
Yeah, that one.
No high notes.
That, it was a... It could have been quite a dull scene where it's just like,
look here,
what about this
there.
one? How about that one? And instead it was like, okay, let's, you know, spice this up a bit.
The funny thing is,
I like that little spice up.
Yeah, Byter, the funny thing is,
Analysis is telling me to sing over you. Oh, jeez.
Anyways, Byter, actually,
I would do that if it would make me look like a huge dick.
I was reminded of actually your arguments, Byter, when I saw the episode for the first time, because because they put so much story in the songs, because they. First, the first song set the mood song. The second song was Here's a Problem song. Then was a depression song. Then was a reversing song. Because they put everything into a song montage, kind of fulfilling your one of your expectations for a song to have actually provide something in the story. But they did it, very high frequent. So.
Well, the other thing though is that if we think about the Pet song, the Grand Galloping Gala, or was it the
Winter Wrap-Up?
Winter Wrap-Up. Not much actually happens in those songs. They just say, look at the pets, you have options. And they're like, I have options. Or it's,
kind of exposition,
here, we're at the gala. Yeah, some of them are just exposition. Some of them just do one thing. Rarity making the dresses. You know, she's doing one very simple thing, and then all the complex interactions and stuff is done in normal land. Here, though, everything is done in songs.
Yeah, and I believe the reason for this is, again, the shortness of the time they have. Because in a song you can make a montage, and a montage provides the possibility to skip a lot of time. And because they only got this 20 minutes to tell this very long story, I guess that's why they went for song after song after song. And
which is why
a bit I like the songs, except this one where they are like Princess Twilight, the thing at the not very end, but doing the coronation itself. This was kind of whoa. But nevertheless, it felt a bit. Even I liked the songs. I'd say it were a little bit too many.
For me, it just didn't work. It didn't sell the story it was trying to tell, and it didn't sell the emotion it was trying to tell.
I think it's one of those things where if you watch it a couple of times, it could grow on you to the point where, despite the pacing, you might actually get a grip of the emotions and probably feel the same way that Digibrony had. I could be wrong. That's just a personal theory.
I've watched it about 5 times, and I will say that the emotions have remained consistent for me across watching it those times. Also, I've gotten messages like Brony Speak. He messaged me when he first watched the episode, and he was like, "I hate it. It was terrible. The pacing was so bad." And I was like, "Why do you say so?" And he's like, "This is why I watch your videos. I'm not good at arguing." And then he came back because he couldn't think of anything. So then he came back like 6 or probably 12 hours later, and he was like, "So yeah, I've watched the episode like twice since then, and I love it. This episode's awesome." It's like my favorite. He said, "I now think it's my favorite finale of the show." I was like, "Good."
Oh,
wow, that's pretty
wouldn't
big.
go so far. Great
I've had a few
finale.
people who told me that after rewatching it, they had a totally different perspective. A few people in the comments on my videos said, because I asked in the video, I said, if you have a problem with the pacing, watch it again and come back and tell me why. And I had a few people who told me that they went and watched it and they didn't have a problem the second time.
Yeah, it's probably because it is so much.
For different people, it's different. I've seen the thing 6 times now, and I still have problems with it. But the first viewing through, I only liked the Melancholy song, where she was sad. But through the separate viewings, I do kind of like which song is where they're actually singing about the problems and going and helping each other. I've semi-grown a little more used to that one.
That's the True Friend song.
But it also still comes down...
Oh, don't talk over Skan.
It still comes down to the preference thing, and I think a big part of that is not many people do this, but do you ever think about what you think is the most powerful of emotions? What do you consider the emotion that... Yeah, what emotion out of the emotional spectrum do you think is the most powerful for you?
I can't say, because I consider emotions to be so incredibly ill-defined that it's like impossible for me to say something like that.
It really depends on where the story goes.
Yeah, because if I were to say love, my meaning of what love is could be exponentially different from what other people's meaning of love is. For me, the only passion that I said it already, the only emotion that I completely feel that I understand and that I really believe that really resonates with me is passion, because I am extremely passionate, as you may have noticed. And so when I see passion in a work, it really grips me.
Exactly.
Not that this
I would
had
say this.
Yeah,
emotion is generally contextual. That it needs to get us immersed in what we're seeing. That if it tells a sad moment, we feel sad in empathy with whatever's going on there. That it requires us to be immersed into the situation. Which ones are most powerful?
Not exactly which ones are most powerful, but you personally.
So yeah, which ones that affect people most?
That kind of defines your likes and what you will and won't like. For me, it's sadness. I find that to be one of the most powerful emotions out there. So when I hear songs that have a melancholy sound and everything, they hit me a lot harder than upbeat songs like the other ones in the episode, thus forming my opinion on whether I actually like the sound I'm hearing or not.
I think though, it's not that I dislike or don't feel so much with the happy songs, but I feel that it's not they're not as poignant because they're a flat line throughout the whole episode. That it's sort of, okay, right. I'm starting to watch things happy.
You didn't dislike the happy songs because you don't feel resonant with happy songs. You disliked them because you didn't feel that they were good happy songs, or that they didn't capture that emotion to you.
The songs didn't resonate with me.
It was not a matter of... it was a matter of personal preference, but it wasn't a matter of you not liking happy songs. It was a matter of the songs not...
it was a matter of them failing to resonate with me at all.
Yeah.
That I saw... It's like I'm trying to compute what's going on screen, and it's got this emotional tone behind it, and most of the time I'm sitting there going, what the hell's going on? There's never it doesn't spend time to set out those emotions. Like I said with the Twilight, we're friends like you, who needs enemies? Simple scene, just a person talking. Very emotional for that, and it's not a song, it's not complex, it's just one line. And, you know, a little bit of symbolism with a tear. But for me, I, at that point, was immersed in the story and understood the context.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, however, it is happy, happy, happy all the time, whereas all this stuff is going on, and I'm like, they're doing things and they're doing things. I just can't be bothered to get invested, because it hasn't put emphasis on... It never emphasizes any particular moment enough. It's all has the same emotional level to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's where the visuals come into play.
The what?
The visuals. So
visuals. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of don't disagree with him about it being a flat line of emotion throughout the episode. It's just that whole emotion, it kept resonating with me through the whole episode. But I do agree that it was pretty much all... It felt like one note, just one note that I really liked hearing, you know?
And they do it so much that they rub it in your face. I have to be back in a sec.
I just realized this is the second podcast in a row where I said the line, it's one note that I really like hearing.
But it's also, once again, getting back to how little time they spent on the story that started this whole thing. They kind of... Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Once again, you've got all these problems they're having, but and we're supposed to feel, you know, like we feel for them, that they're in trouble, that they need help, but they do it so fast. I mean, one moment, it's like, okay, they have a little different cutie mark, and then the next moment, everything's gone complete batshit for them, and they totally need help. And if we had a little transition into that, it would have helped a lot, which 7 to 8 minutes could have added so much more.
I think also it's the way...
Just because you just said it, would you say the story could have been saved by stretching it out over maybe 2 episodes, or so you
definitely
could...
I think I think I mentioned it at the beginning of this, and I've told A&Y Pony, I really think that they should have left this this episode on a real cliffhanger. They should have zapped Twilight and gone, what the heck happened?
See you next season.
See you next season. That would have given 8 more minutes to work on the previous story that was going on, flesh it out, and get us more into it, more into feeling for the characters that we've gotten into.
I would say though, when you say flesh it out, it has to be implicit that you're fleshing it out in a good way. That instead of always doing happy, 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 things, and just doing that over 2 episodes, is instead you take what's going on and have bits where it's more calm, bits where it has intensity. You know, you actually have a bit of a journey going on. Then it could have had good implementation in trying to get their emotions across. It's what I said in Magic Jewel, that, you know, that opening scene that's all dark and moody, and it sets a thing of suspense where Trixie is buying the amulet. You remember, it's like some dark kind of street, and it's raining, and opens through the door, and there's works on shadows. That could have been an interesting direction for the whole episode to take. That we then cut to the others, and it's very normal, very slice of life. And then suddenly Fluttershy yells at people. But yeah, we cut that out. If it was all slice of life, very normal, and it's building up a mood and intensity to the situation, that there's tension being built in the audience. So when people say Magic Jewel needs to be expanded, I'm saying it should be expanded, and it could work on something like creating tension. Or later in the episode, when emotions are running high, things are going crazy, it spends time with each of the groups, learning how things are going, good or bad. It's kind of very similar to Return of the Empire, Star Wars Episode 2. You could have, that one did our heroes off training with, the sage in the distance, whereas the others are completely separate and getting in dire straits.
Did a dryer just come on at... Okay, never mind.
It's gone off. But, yeah. It was, the musicalness, yeah. Implementation, very samey. And extra time, if we gave it extra time, it better not be the same samey implementation. I feel that it should actually do a lot more with its songs, have radically different songs.
One thing to address that was in the chat earlier, if we cut it off where I said, where's the conflict? The conflict is that they need to get the cutie marks fixed because everything's going to hell.
Yeah.
Didn't need the whole Twilight Alicorn thing in there. It could have gone to Season 4 to do that, which also would have meant that Tara Strong was a liar.
Yeah, the whole... I mean, we spent, 9 minutes on the whole coronation and Alicorn Twilight and self-congratulatory patting on the back.
Mm.
Yeah.
When the conflict has already been resolved. It's been done. Denouement happened halfway through.
Yeah, they got the cutie marks resolved, and there's the conflict resolved. Then they start a new conflict, and it's like, why? Why did you not flesh out the one you were just working on?
And what do you guys think of the flow from one conflict to the other? I mean, it's all hung on this spell that we don't know much about. That's just
you know how I feel about the flow.
Yeah. It was kind of a framing device.
Well, yeah, you think it's perfect, but what about the sane people in the room?
Which sane people? I believe the only sane person left.
You know what? I'm fine with being insane, whatever. I'm very used to that moniker, so...
I'm insane myself.
Don't worry. If we were all sane, we'd all commit suicide.
And I am supposed to be the dark one.
Depends how you define sane, I guess.
Yeah. So, you asked about the switch between...
Hold on. Past analysis. Stop asking me to sing over him. I'm not going to do it, but you're making it really hard for me not to by tempting me. Seriously.
You want to
no idea how much I want to.
With your simple love of songs.
I agree. The dryer is the same one.
By the way, the chat is... The dryer is already trying it, yeah. The chat is funny today. Somebody already declared... Somebody already declared his or her love to you, DG. A lot.
Oh, because the funny thing about this is that a couple of these guys I've been talking to for the past 12 straight hours about this episode.
Okay.
Urishima, I believe, is the German guy I've been talking to. Yes, is that you, Urishima?
You're gonna wait for the lag to catch up.
I didn't want to say your real name, and then right, I have to. And then Berkeley and Lion, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I've been talking to through emails about this, and he wrote this awesome review, and I loved it, and we both agreed that it was a great... All three of us have been talking about how much we love the episode for 12 straight hours. Urishima particularly has been not been able to control his life anymore because he's so into this episode. So it's funny to me, I'm trying to read the chat to keep up with those guys, and there's also all this other stuff happening, and yeah, it's fun.
That's what goes on.
Jetzt geht hier der große Kampf los. Deutsch gegen Englisch. Deutschland! Sorry, just had to do it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
I guess I made their day, so that's nice. MCC, I think you meant MMC Crusaders go, but yeah.
So basically the only reason to like this episode is because you like the songs and what went on. When the songs... I don't know. Why was it an effective episode at its core?
It just, everything in it appealed to me. I mean, you saw my video. It's pretty much... I haven't really changed my thought process about it since then. It's
yeah, you love it so much that you say it's perfect, but I'm trying to break down why people can get attracted to
it. I mean, I totally understand why people don't like it. All of you guys, all of your points have been valid, and that's why I haven't been saying anything. I've just kind of been listening and going, yeah, I mean, if you don't like the music, that's whatever. If you don't like the pacing, then that's your deal. I love the pacing, I love the music, I love everything. I just love this fucking episode. To the extent, now I'm going to plug, to the extent that my part 2, I said I was going to do another video about this episode. I'm going to actually do it shot by shot. I'm just going to take apart the entire episode, probably in a live stream or something.
And just sort of say, ooh, I love this one, and I love that one. I should do something like that, where I just say, oh look, it jumps straight into it and I have no reason to get involved, and it's a comedic farce again.
I imagine that would be...
And then this one, it's building up on the silliness.
Somebody knows your name.
Yeah, I don't know why he keeps saying my name, but it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
I think he's just trying to confuse people.
Yeah. What were you just saying, Alan?
Meh. I think I could go through it and just explain why I never got a reason to get involved in the show. That to set the scene, it sells a happy song. Then to set the conflict, it sets it just has exposition, and then it has a quite fast beat sad song. I don't know. Things just play out, and I'm like, meh. It isn't effective storytelling, because it hasn't got a decent pacing. It hasn't got an idea of showmanship in how it tells songs. I am, after of all of this season 3, I am just not. It's currently, every episode is currently being breaking my secondary, or at least my immersion, secondary belief or immersion in the show. So I'm just kind of left apathetic towards this place and characters. And now it wants to just try and sing and sing and sing, and think I will go along with it.
Well, to give the staff credit, I think maybe they wanted to try a different storytelling method. That could be the other case.
Actually, what I've heard is that Hasbro demanded a musical episode.
Seems like Hasbro's taking the advantage of everything.
According to Daniel Ingram posted something on Facebook where he said like, yeah, this episode was really hard to do. Hasbro ordered a whole musical episode with Twilight becoming an alicorn and I think maybe they mentioned Celeste. No, I don't know if they mentioned Celeste.
It seems like they really want to.
They had a lot of demands for this episode.
That was an issue. It's not an Emma Watson episode. It's a Daniel Ingram episode. He wrote that episode.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and what's awesome is that not only did Daniel Ingram do all the songs, he actually did all the music in this episode. Ordinarily, he would mostly do the singing songs and stuff, but apparently he actually did the entire backing track of the episode, which 2 thumbs up for me.
Here's the thing, though. What do you guys think about MLP's cast and their ability to do musicals? Because all of them have quite similar... Well, they sound quite similar to me, singing voices.
It doesn't bother me because it sounds like each of their characters singing. So
I don't see what's wrong with it.
It's more about it being the character singing than it is about it being like amazing.
Well, the thing is, when they're all singing, it's not the best way to bring forth their differing characters, particularly if they sound so similar.
I don't agree because we can tell them apart. We know what they sound like. It's each of their voices. It's not like it sounds like different characters. It sounds like them, with the exception occasionally of Rarity.
The thing is, though, is that the tone of the song, the timbre of it, is set by often the voice, the kind of voice they are, and what kind of song they're singing. But they are all got very similar voices, and they're all singing very similar songs.
In this case, in the case of this episode, the times when everyone is singing, they're singing all of part of the same song. Not that it's similar, that it's literally the same song that each of them has a part of. And yeah, it's supposed to sound alike because they're all going through the same thing.
This is the thing, though. For me, it makes the characters and the emotions each may be feeling feel blander. Because they all sound and act the same.
But do they? I mean, okay. For instance, like in the
before this, there were some parts of their singing that would stand out. Like, best example of this is the Grand Galloping Gala. You had them all doing their part, but Rainbow Dashes stood so far apart from the rest because it was so different.
I mean, this episode, it may not have been as obviously different, but if you listen closely to the music, as I have done, there's a lot of first of all, obviously the instruments are different, but for each pony's part, like Rarity's brings this really regal vibe, and her part really stands out in the True Friend song. It totally feels like a tone shift when you get into Rarity's part. In the Cutie Mark, with the part where they're singing about like "Cause it's what my cutie mark is telling me," and that one, then Pinkie Pie's part, she's like, it's weird. It's like she's trying to fake AJ's accent. She like sings in a fake country accent, and she's also pissed. So it's totally, yeah. She sounds genuinely mad and just totally not normal Pinkie, you know. And it really conveyed the emotion of what she was feeling to me. I thought her performance was just spectacular there. Yeah, but the Rarity parts always stand out because they have this super regal feel, and her voice, of course, stands out like crazy.
But
someone's like, did you song, Mr. Yohama, you must have come late.
The difference is, however, when you say them, it's something you have to listen for, and they're more subtle than extremely distinct.
Yeah, I mean, it's more subtle, but you should know that. Like, you should be ready for it because you've been watching the show. You know the difference between the characters.
Just because I know the show, and the thing is, the show is trying to sell me each character's emotional moments. I feel the songs should try and make it feel by how the sound of the songs are more distinctly different for each character.
I'll agree that it could be.
The differences are subtle.
I don't think it failed. I don't think it failed, but I do think. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Grand Galloping Gala, that one did it perfectly. The Rainbow Dash part really does feel like a completely different song, and then it goes into Pinkie, and it's just this happy, bubbly thing. That song did it perfectly, and if every song in this episode was that good, then yeah, that would be better. But I don't think that I don't think by any means that these songs failed.
Yeah.
They just were not quite as good.
I'm on Digi's side. They would have been improved by making them more diverse, but as they are still good, I'd say. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is that it's trying to sell to us their individual character moments, character feelings, and their character stories. But everything feels samey because there isn't enough of that distinction, which is my problem. That I'm just it feels all kind of monotone and all bland. There isn't variance for me to keep me interested. There isn't a distinct type of song for each character.
Yeah.
They could still be entertaining, but there's a lot missed out in there, and the characters feel blander to me as a result.
That's sad.
I'm just.
This episode, except for Twilight, if you haven't seen the rest of the episodes, all the characters really seem kind of like cardboard cutouts or something like that.
Yeah.
They're not defined.
And that's why I can't get emotional about it. They're cardboard cutouts.
So, but I guess even with the later start, we maybe should get somewhere near the ending part. So maybe
we haven't even discussed the whole coronation thing that much.
Okay, we
can give it a try. I also haven't got to bring up my favorite part.
Okay.
Because like I was going to say that we mostly glossed it over because I found it mostly forgettable or just kind of boring.
I thought it was because most people in this stream really are either indifferent to Twilight Alicorn or liked her, so there's not really much controversy over her actually becoming an Alicorn.
This could probably be the problem, because I was from the very beginning about the whole
it's been so dividing for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I was always like, hey, just
we were all
see what will happen, and by now nothing really happened with Twilight Unicorn. She was just declared an Alicorn, she was just declared a princess, and nothing has happened, so we have to wait until season 4 to see if there actually are changes.
It's kind of, we've had a lot of time for this thing to buffer in and sink in that it's a change that's going to be going for. It's just a shame. It's not a change I really think is a good progression for the show.
Yeah, all of them bowing at the end kind of elevates Twilight
I think
to a
it's too
higher
soon.
level.
Yeah, just like with, I mean, it was too soon to say how I was going to feel about Twilacorn before it happened, and now it's too soon for me to say what it's going to do to the show, because we really have no idea. Again, there's the possibility they could just slap Twilight with wings and then just, like, practically do most of the... I mean, there's probably going to be a certain amount of episodes that are, you know, centered around her being a princess, but there's probably going to be quite a few that just don't even feature Twilight, because it's a 26-episode season, and we're going to have the next... hopefully okay Applejack episode. So
the thing
5
is, though,
rarity episodes.
The thing is, though, is we've spent this episode trying to, and the whole coronation scene, selling, oh my gosh, Alicorn Twilight. And I still don't feel why this is important in this universe, and why it should be something that they should even tell. It's an uninspired arc that doesn't really even go with the feel of the show, what it was going with before.
Well, let's assume it was something that came down from Hasbro, who wanted to sell their new Alicorn toys. So the writers of the show have to deal with it anyways. And if you ignore...
Which, by the way,
actually,
have you seen that toy? That thing is amazing.
Okay, I don't care about merch, so it's...
I'm sorry?
Actually,
I'll be back.
Didn't Megan say it was her idea?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was her.
No, she did twit that it was her idea, but we don't know Megan. She could have just been covering for Hasbro to...
I don't think
hate that.
She has claimed
Well,
that
the staff is
Sombra
okay with
was...
lying to settle us down if they think we're getting too, you know...
I highly doubt she'd just lie about something like that.
She did claim, for example, here's a question. She claimed that Sombra was supposed to be like Sauron, and I still think that's bullshit.
Whoa, she claimed that? Wait, did she actually say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
In an interview.
Oh my god, because that's exactly what I said in my initial post on that episode. I completely compared him to Sauron.
Okay, but
loads of...
That is awesome.
If you are interested in this, I believe it was an interview with Digibrony on his channel, or on the Everfree Radio channel.
Now I feel like she just ripped off my goddamn...
Well, no, if she
clearly saw my video and liked my point.
It depends, because she was... This is obviously what she wrote 8 months ago, and she claimed initially that 8 months ago I wanted to write Sombra like Sauron. And she talks a bit like that for a while, and then she goes, Sombra is about darkness, because darkness is all scary and stuff, and she talks about how she wanted Sombra to be about the theme of darkness. So I feel like she's probably taken the line of what apologists have done for that episode, and then after she takes the apologist line, then says actually what she thought, what she was thinking when writing him. Because the Sauron analogy is weak. It's weak sauce.
Why?
Okay.
I made it.
I believe
I shall explain to you. Okay, the idea in Lord of the Rings is there's quite a lot of tension due to Sauron, in the sense that Sauron has his ring of power and his hordes of minions, whether they be mercenaries, orcs, or wraiths. The ring of power deems a huge threat to our heroes because it is, as shown in the book and even the movies, as hugely corrupting to those around it. The hordes of orcs, do I have to explain why they are threatening?
No.
Stabby, stabby. Now, in Sombra, even though Sauron isn't there, his presence is felt through his minions and his ring. Those cause the tension in the Lord of the Rings. Sombra, on the other hand, doesn't have any minions. He doesn't have a ring of power. He has a lot of staircases and a door. I don't think, therefore, that he is the same as Sauron, because he is not threatening our heroes with death from hordes of orcs. He isn't got a ring of power that they must cart around with them that is corrupting them. Instead, he has an obstacle door that makes you upset.
Yeah, but the thing is, nevertheless, if she took inspiration from it, and Digi even
Well, what did
saw
you take inspiration
that he is
from?
this kind of, I believe, I still would say Thorin is a far more impressive villain because, yeah, I guess people know by now that I don't like Sombra very much. Yeah, but the thing is, I believe she simply took a few elements of him and tried to transfer.
What elements did she take? I mean, he is felt through his rings and his minions.
Yeah, but this embodied being, this is kind of vague, lingering at the corner of all the action.
Respond to the chat because Brony Debates is saying he said that Sombra wants to corrupt the Crystal Heart, which will corrupt all of Equestria. It's the threat that makes Sombra a significant threat. He's impressive through his subtleties, which Byter doesn't seem to understand very well. He prefers overt villains. Sombra is subtle.
Here is the thing. Wait. When you say, okay, this is about the relation of Sombra to Sauron, and I'm saying Sauron is that simple villain. That Sauron has his orcs and his ring that are direct threats.
I believe Fox wants to say something.
Okay, if you guys are talking about the influence of how the character King Sombra was made from the Crystal Empire and that he was supposed to be an influence from Sauron, to me it doesn't work because Sauron was just a background presence, and what made him a background presence is that he was already a character back in the past where when he's defeated he's just casting the ring. King Sombra was literally a character who returned, so having this mysterious and ominous presence in the background just did not work. He was a character, and there was not enough screen time for him.
Wait, wasn't Sauron also something that had returned from like 1,000 years ago?
No, he wasn't trying.
No, he was a spirit that was casted inside the ring that had to be destroyed. His minions were trying to bring him back. It's kind of similar to Voldemort throughout the first half of
Sauron is the giant eyeball, right? I haven't seen Harry Potter or read.
Yeah, but Harry Potter corporal form. He cannot exist in the world that is Middle-earth.
But I don't. Where does the Sauron Sombra analogy lie? Is Sauron subtlety, as Brony's Brony debates say? I don't think
he's supposed to be made as a mysterious character. That's what it was, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
Sombra was supposed to be a mysterious character. Sauron, on the other hand, he's simple evil, and he creates tension through his minions and his ring. They are completely different villains in how they work and operate.
I don't know. It's strange because the reason I made the comparison is because I never, when I think of the Lord of the Rings, I don't even remember that Sauron existed because he, to me, was such a non-presence. I remember occasionally there was a giant eyeball. I mean, yeah, he's supposed to be creating tension through his minions and stuff, and I would argue that if there is to be a parallel, it would be that you get tension through the effects that Sombra had left on the Crystal Empire, which is that everyone's oppressed and Cadence is slowly dying or whatever. And both of them just felt like relatively non-present villains whose the only thing that made them threatening was stuff that was not directly controlled by them.
But the thing is, at least Sauron's minions created tension. Sombra's lack of minions created no tension.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree that the Lord of the Rings did it better because of that, but I do think that there is some grounds to the idea that I'm not saying he was based on him and they did it perfectly. I'm just saying that it makes sense that he was based on him. I would say that probably it was a similarity between Sauron's, what Sauron is doing to Frodo's mind and what Sombra is doing to Cadence's mind. There are similarities to reason why they would be compared.
He doesn't do anything to Cadence's mind. She is more getting physically exhausted from doing the spell.
But I just mean the effects are similar. The effects of what is happening.
You see, the Ring of Power completely corrupts people and twists them against former friends. Sombra sat outside of the magic dome that caused...
Wait, does the Ring of Power specifically corrupt people against their friends, or does it just corrupt them and then they turn against their friends?
It quotes and unquotes poison their mind. It gets obsessed with them. That's what it is. They get so obsessed with the ring. I feel like this is a very vague concept.
But basically, the ring is still an object that when
you're discussing the Lord of the Rings right now.
The ring.
And Megan McCarthy wrote it like that. That's how she wrote the Crystal Empire.
The ring is an object that when you're near it.
Golden, you weren't there when we brought this up, but I had actually made this exact comparison without ever having known that
the ring is an object. The ring is an object that when you're nearby it, it is quite obvious that it is changing people's minds around them, that it is corrupting their thought processes.
Like Sombra's door.
Sombra's what?
Door. The door.
It doesn't corrupt you
that
by
door
its
is just... That's just something that goes in the worst of your fears, but it doesn't physically or mentally change you. It just...
No.
Yeah, it's just, oh my god, what's
is,
the worst that can happen to me? And that's all it is.
It just scares you. It's not the same.
There you go. It just scares you.
It's one obstacle. It's an obstacle. It's not a ring of power.
There you go, yeah. That's the huge difference.
Alicorn Amulet is much more better reference to Lord of the Rings than King Sombra was.
Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah, that is kind of true. And you know what? If that were to be the case, like if that amulet was like the MacGuffin of the Crystal Empire, instead of just having this ominous presence in the background, you know, some kind of connection between Sombra and that amulet, it would have worked a little bit better. It would have been a bigger influence of Lord of the Rings.
Well, it would have been better if there was...
Why are we talking about the Crystal Empire exactly? I'm
this episode's
we were trying to decide whether we could trust the word of Megan McCartney. Would she lie to us?
And why the fuck are we discussing that?
Because we were wondering where the whole idea of Alicorn Twilight came from in the first place. So, was it... And
I'm still pretty
was
convinced
it her
that
idea, or is she covering for Hasbro?
Yeah. But nevertheless, because the initial question came from Byter, and it was like, was it necessary to tell this kind of story? And,
was this the best route that the show could take? Yeah.
Probably not, but it was an experiment, so...
you know, I don't want to think about the idea of what the best route is, because I think that is always going to be something that you can say it could have been done better.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what.
There's always something debatable.
Well, I mean, every time I look at an episode, there's something that could have been changed to make the episode better, and that's the kind of thing that you just can't obsess over.
In this case, though, they are
which is usually right, unless change is a big way really had it happen. If it was Hasbro just trying to sell a toy, it's not the same as just taking it in a different direction to check out if something will work. They're changing it because they have to, which is a completely different thing to speculate on whether it could have been better.
Why is that necessarily problematic? Like, why does it matter what the reason behind their decision was? Because it doesn't matter to me.
I, for myself, liked the direction the show took in Season 1 and, consequently, in Season 2. That was set by Lauren Faust. I'm not sure that Alicorn Twilight... I can't remember, I saw some people talking about there was possible sources that she didn't ever want to make anyone an Alicorn. Because she had a... But yeah, I like shows that have a creative passion and drive behind them.
I mean, I do too, but I don't... I mean, that would be making it... That makes it sound like Lauren Faust was the only one who was being passionate about the show. This is This is what Skan is talking about when he's saying, is it ordained by Hasbro? Because then they are changing the direction of the show for the purpose of doing toys, and we're just have to walk along. But that doesn't mean that the people... Yes, Skan?
Here it is. What I'm saying is, are we following the will of somebody who's passionate about this show, which doesn't have to be Lauren, but have somebody drive the show that is passionate about it, or is it being driven by a corporation that makes toys, was why all their previous seasons sucked?
My question is, why can't it be both? Why can't they take what they're handed down and then become passionate about it? Because that's something you can do. It's sort of like giving a writing prompt, and then, you know, like, it's something, see, we're given it, you have to write within these certain guidelines, but you can still create an amazing story that you're passionate about.
You're still being handed...
I actually know where you're coming from. I think DHX is trying to make I think that's why DHX is trying to make the best out of it as much as they can. When,
they didn't give up. They didn't say, oh shit, we have to do a Twilight Corn episode? Fuck this show, I don't want to work on MLP anymore. They said...
Well, they still have to work with it either way.
Sell them songs. You know, they will all buy the songs.
I mean, obviously... M.A. Larson cared a lot about what he wrote in this episode because he was quite adamant about campaigning, that he was proud of it. He put, I believe in M.A. Larson as his avatar, and it became sort of a big thing on Twitter. he clearly wanted people to know that he was passionate about what he had done here. He felt he had created a good episode. You know, so regardless of why he had to write this episode this way, he was still passionate about it, in as much as anyone is passionate who works on this show. And you have to be passionate if you're working on this show. It's a fucking insanely good show for what it is. They could do whatever, they could phone it in, but this episode has animation quality that exceeds any other cartoon I've seen in the past forever. So, yeah, it's like, obviously there's a lot of passion going into it, regardless of what the origin
obviously. And that's really the conflict here. DHX wants to focus more on the quality of the show, and Hasbro just wants to sell the products, and DHX has to do whatever they can to balance it all out.
Right. But it's I just don't think that's problematic for me. Which is
why all the episodes that people like Byter and others who get upset about the content, why they don't outright hate episodes usually. They still kind of like it because the writers are putting passion into it to save it. But think how much better it would have been if they just released the writers to
but again,
be creative like they've always been.
I don't want to think about what, like, oh, would it have been better if this? Because I could, again, I could do that all day. Would it have been better if they had, instead of having Meriwether Williams on the show, had some other awesome writer on the show? We can say, wouldn't it have been better then? And we could always do that. There's always something that could have been done to make it better. In this case, you're saying, well, wouldn't it have been better if Hasbro hadn't interfered? But again, it's just one more thing that, you know, we could go on like that all day. Well, we could always say, wouldn't it have been better if this or that?
I would argue, because this is the relevance of this topic, that Season 3 is different from previous seasons, in the sense the episodes and what stories they're trying to tell and how they're trying to engage their audiences feels distinctly different. So I'm saying that the thing is trying to... A lot of the episodes are wish fulfillment, a lot more than previous seasons. That we have Dash Goes to the Academy. We have this first Scootaloo teams up with Rainbow Dash episode. We have going to the Crystal Empire. We have them winning at the games. We have this thing here with the Alicorn Twilight. It's sometimes why people could describe it as pandering. And yes, I would go towards the type of engagement the show is going for. Whereas before, it was not very cartoony at all.
But is it pandering to deliver on something that was essentially promised? Because that's what so many people, their engagement with the story is that they wanted these things to happen. Like, you become engaged with Rainbow Dash's story of wanting to become a Wonderbolt because you're hoping that, yeah, she's gonna become a Wonderbolt. So, for me, I mean, that's why it was so rewarding when you see these things starting to happen. That's why there are some people who think that Season 3 is, like, the best season yet.
But
because they're saying, wow, I get to see it. I get to see these things coming to life, you know, these things that I've been waiting for, that I've been writing fanfics about, and now they're true, you know?
But that is fan versus canon, which, as a bunch of things have been shown in other shows, that sometimes cater to the fanon more than the canon. It dilutes the product. It takes away creativity, and what it basically comes down to is, as you as a fan and not knowing how the process works, you don't really know what you want. You say you want this, but when you get it, you realize that it wasn't. And the writers, if they're not being bombarded by this, can just keep on doing their creativity and not be influenced by people who what they think they want, but they don't know.
I don't buy into that as a rule at all.
Well, this is why we're also asking, who ordained this? Who asked for this change of tone and style for the season, season 3?
Was it ordained, or did it just happen? We don't. I mean, when we try to read into creative intent, that's something that is almost impossible to find in a show, in a television show.
Where did it come from? We don't know, but we're still interested. Is it Hasbro? Is it Megan? Or is it just everyone felt, let's make the show more
I feel like to me it just feels like it was probably a natural change that just happened, because MLP, even though Lauren Faust had so much passion and everything in this, I don't think MLP ever had an auteur. I don't think Lauren Faust had this iron grip or anything on the show. She was a guide. She was guiding it. She had her ideas about it. that helped it along. But it's not like she was ever this iron-fisted director or anything who was like...
It's not iron-fisted director. It's the one who talks to the writers and gives them an idea of what direction she wants to push the thing in. And she has a clear idea in an artistic standpoint how the show should engage its audience and what kind of thing she's going for.
I guess what I'm saying is that I don't totally buy into the idea that she was guiding it along so concretely through the first 2 seasons, because you've often said that you find the season 3
through the first season.
Right.
Apparently. She left off.
She was working on it the second season. She was the supervisor. She did not direct, but she was she had input on the entire second season. It wasn't until after season 2 that she completely left. Now, what amount of input she had is really questionable, because we know that from what I've read, we know that she did have some input, but also it was not in her control. Like, she did not want Cadence to be an alicorn, but that happened. So, and I believe at that point she was like, what the fuck? I think that was probably actually done even after they had written the episode. They went back and Hasbro asked for it or something. That's the impression that I've gotten. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. When I watched season 1, it doesn't feel so consistent to me that I feel like Lauren Faust was guiding it so much, you know? I feel like there was a hand, but it was not
but at least
not
it was
completely visible
in tone and direction.
I don't know. Was it though? I mean, there's a couple of Dave Polsky episodes in there, and they don't fit at all in the tone of the rest of the show. Or Ghostbusters just feels so out of place because it's fucking awful. And
one thing that bugged me was this is the first episode ever that I watched, and at the end, I thought to myself, I'm watching a little girl show.
Mm.
I've never thought this after watching an MLP episode before.
Why did you feel that? Just because she turned into an alicorn?
Not that. There was no depth. I didn't feel anything for any characters. It just seemed to be a little happy joyride, a very fast one.
I thought it was
and then we get
extremely deep, because it was paying off for everything that's happened in the show so far. That's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be payoff.
Invested in the show, but it doesn't mean that the show's execution isn't poor.
I think the execution is fine. I think it was banking on me. Yeah, but it was banking on my investment. And I love that I got to say that phrase just now.
Don't make me mute your microphone. Fox wants to say something.
What if this was your first episode?
Why would it be my first episode? Why would I start with the last episode of season 3? Why would I do that?
No, it's a
I believe Fox wants to say something.
Because you don't get into the show till
Okay, I'm sorry to jump in. I know where both of you guys are coming from. I know that Skan feels like he felt like he was watching a little girl show because of the atmosphere, but Digibrony, he feels like he watched something in depth. I'm kind of in between, so I understand where the both of you are coming from.
Did you have anything?
Oh my god, I completely forgot what I was going to say next.
It's what I've been arguing.
It's kind of like in between, and that kind of shows how divided it is. The finale is.
Well, I feel like that for the whole of season 3, though. That it feels a lot more like a girls' TV show than what it was before. Many episodes are selling for that, just for the simple, easy humor.
But easy humor doesn't equal
little girl does
show.
Not compute. Digi explode.
Toll, you broke Digi.
It's going for the easy, low-hanging fruit.
Is it?
By trying to take the pandering episode concepts and going for the easy humor and simplistic stories.
I don't think it changed so much that anything like that could be said.
It's kind of somewhat changed, but at the same time, it's different. Well, like it feels the same, but it feels different at the same time.
Yeah, it feels different, but it also feels the same. So yeah, I mean,
you may already recognize the characters, such as in the songs for this episode. You know who they are.
Yes.
But to me, the songs only do subtle changes for each character. They then feel blander.
I just expect that the episode... I think the episode... I feel that it was written intending that you know what's going on. You are supposed to carry your impression of who the characters are into the episode. It is written to be a finale of a show that has 65 episodes. You should know who the characters are. The episode
how the characters act and how the song should sound should be different for each character because they are unique. Instead, it makes it blander. He has to go again. We know that they are different, and the show should continue reinforcing that they are all a group of equals and their own individual unique personalities, however it can, rather than going to Blandsville. Just because we have prior knowledge doesn't mean we can't
But we
make
are
the show...
just getting back to the argument we had about an hour ago.
It's just I'm saying that it should be colourful. It should try to sell its unique personalities.
And about an hour ago, nobody disagreed with you. We were just, it would have been, could have been improved by showing
and that
even
is my
more
problem. That in the Grand Galloping Gala, it sells their unique stories.
Yes,
we went over this. We actually went over this quite thoroughly, so I think we should probably move on since we're about 2 hours
But
into
you
this podcast.
didn't seem to understand it.
No, we agreed with you that it would have been better with more diversion, but you just say because it's not as good as it is.
The problem here, Byter, is that you're taking this sort of
this discussion here.
I know,
Byter. This discussion here was about the difference in implementation of Season 3 compared to previous seasons, correct? In this season, it has implemented differently in regards to being blander. That
no one disagrees with you,
Well,
Byter.
okay, but you just said that it was fine that way. I'm saying that it is blander and it's a degradation of what it was before.
I'm saying it sounds like you're taking an all or nothing approach to this, where it's like it's either that it's so much worse and now it sucks, or it had to like
I say
I think it's only so slightly less.
I say in this example here that the songs did not emphasize the difference in our characters, and they all felt blander. In previous seasons, it was written in a way that made the characters feel unique. And it emphasized that. Even if we knew them at the end of the Grand Galloping Gala, what their dreams were, what they were like, it still had different types of songs because it wanted to re-emphasize how they were unique. That was the example I wanted to draw.
Okay.
Don't claim that I'm trying to go back on a previous point and re-explain it again. I only wanted to use it as an example.
Well, rooting this entire finale down, because of it's really just a matter of the pacing. Some people like Digibrony enjoyed that pacing because they had some kind of feel for it from what their prior knowledge is, whereas other people would watch and expect something a little more in depth, but the pacing distracts them to the point where they just don't really seem to have that much of a depth and they perceive it differently. So it just roots down to the pacing.
I don't think it's just a matter of pacing. I think it's a matter of it wants to try and elicit an emotion in our audience. And in that regard, it is less effective and not as successful as previous seasons. And it's not effective to me.
Okay.
It's not just that it did a lot at once.
And now, because the chat is requesting it, we should really move on to another topic, because people are starting to get really upset with us.
All right. Well, we already know how Byter feels about Season 3.
Okay, is there anything else we haven't...
I'm very acquainted with how he feels about Season 3.
Alicon Twilight. So we kind of speculated for a while where the idea might have come from, but we never went into that. So
it feels like it's ordained from
if
above.
it is bad or good. So because I am agreeing with...
I thought we did conclude that we just couldn't determine yet.
Yeah, we can't. But it is. I'm agreeing with you, DG, that there is that it provides opportunity, and even so, maybe they could have easily done 1 or 2 more seasons without this change. And I am actually like, okay, it's a change. I'm interested what they will do with it. I'm not sure if it is good or bad.
I kind of like the opportunities that was set up in the first season with the elements of harmony, particularly since we know the elements of harmony can change their form to the group that uses it. That they go from stones to pieces of jewelry. There could have been cool stories where the group gets split up and the elements of harmony's power is divided, or that one character is left on their own and they use the element harmony, and while it's weaker, it's their faith in the group that still allows it to work. And you could have other people pick up the elements of harmony and use it. It doesn't have to be just our main 6 that have friendship.
Mm.
There is loads of potential areas that I'm sure a proper writer could expand and work on. You know, you could make the elements of harmony for the main 6 gain more powers.
I mean, we could have gone on for 900 seasons without this change happening, and we could have kept coming up with ideas. But the fact of the matter is that now the change has happened, and we just need to just... Yeah, I'm not going to try to keep thinking about things that could have been.
The elements of harmony are a more natural progression in terms of expansion of the themes and stories of this Friendship is Magic arc to tell. The Alicorn becoming a Twilight is a superficial physical change that doesn't really mean anything other than there was this spell thing and it's powered by friendship. Blah, blah, blah.
I can agree with you on that, but again, I just don't want to. I want to wait till the other 2 episodes of this part before I draw any conclusions like that. Like, what if it turns out that her being an what if it turns out that her becoming an Alicorn is somehow a good idea? Like, what if it turns out to tie in some brilliant way that they come up with? I just don't know.
The show's initial first premise, the very premise episode from the beginning, was just. There you go on an adventure, and at the end, one of them goes for an arc, and now they are all a group that can use the elements of harmony. Okay. This is the tone and feel of the show. That
the elements of harmony are not gone, right?
They aren't gone,
right?
A question I'm getting.
What I'm saying is they've made a change that is superficial. A physical change to Twilight to make her an Alicorn, it doesn't feed into what the show wanted to sell it at the beginning.
Okay,
it's
Byter?
completely vapid.
One question, Byter. It's a 2-part question. Part 1: will you continue watching the 4th season?
Don't know.
Okay.
I'll probably watch it. Not sure if I'll do written reviews for it because my passion for the written reviews were because I could break down the show and explain how it worked. Unfortunately, my style of reviewing means I break down the mechanics and found that they didn't work. So it might not be. It wouldn't be fun to do 26 episodes of this is just pandering for laughs. This one's just pandering for songs. This one's just average again.
So in case they kind of found a way to emphasize this aspect more, you would probably get more involved as well, or?
I don't know. I want to see what direction they're probably going to take for season 4. I'll watch the episodes and think, can I be? I don't know. I'll come to it when it comes. For the most part, it seems that Hasbro is getting more involved in the show and the fandom. And Hasbro being completely toxic are being toxic.
Yeah.
So, meh.
Okay.
What was part 2? What was that part 2?
Yeah, the part 2 was what has to happen, or how will you go on it. So it kind of makes.
I'm going to review probably seasons 1 and 2 because that's why I started this whole thing in the first place.
Sounds
because
interesting.
MOP actually had a reason for it to be special, that it told sincere character arcs and character stories without trying to be too cartoony or just, going for that low-hanging fruit. And season 3 has lacked that special spark for me.
So about the others, what are your out views for the time until season 4 and season 4 as well? So
one of you guys?
Yeah.
Skan?
What's the question?
In a while.
The question is what is your perspective for the upcoming in general? So for the directness goes, what you will do with it? Will you can you right now say yes? I'm totally hyped. I will do this. Oh, yeah, we're back. Yes.
Okay, I lost connection there for a moment.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Fox.
What was the question again? We've been having connection problems.
Basically, he's asking, how do you feel going into season 4?
Well,
are you excited?
Given how
it's going to be great, or?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag for me because, well, like as everybody else pointed out, the whole concept of Twilight being an alicorn, you know, it's whether or not you want to put up with this change or not, and that's what makes the viewers pretty divided so far. The simple answer is I would just have to wait until season 4 kicks in, but for whatever it is that I expect, I just have to go along with it. You know, now don't just get upset because it's something of what you weren't expecting or whatnot. You got to keep yourself a little more open-minded to what the staff is trying to do, what Hasbro is trying to do, and whatever advantages they're trying to get at each other's throats of. So the simple answer is I would just have to wait until season 4 comes, and then we'll see what happens from there. So my expectations are like kind of undefined.
Okay. Digi?
I'm pumped as fuck.
So how we will spend some time until?
See, well, obviously I've got shitloads of episodes to analyze because I've been doing the entire show. You know, get through the rest of season 1, go to season 2, do a bunch of observations videos and stuff. I'm just gonna pump out videos the whole break. Hopefully help other people to deal with the fact that there is a break, because I'm sure people are gonna be hungry for some kind of pony fix. So I hope to be there for them. Obviously, you know, I loved season 3. Personally, I don't think season 3 was any worse than the other seasons, because I think the only thing that made it worse was that it was 13 episodes, because if I stack up season 3 against any 13-episode block of the other seasons, it stands up just as well to me. There were about as many episodes I didn't like as many episodes that I loved, especially after the finale, because I'm obviously a gigantic fan of the finale, so that really solidified my feelings. And I also got drunk and marathoned the entire season leading up to the finale in the BerryTube stream, so I got to like reaffirm some of my feelings, remember that Wonderbolt Academy is like fucking amazing, and yeah, just generally, you know, remember love for everything, because for a while it was a little hard when it got through that part where it was like, you know, fucking
what about all the Spike
Apple Family Reunion and the stupid Spike episodes, and Water On being such a weird episode where it was so hard to say if it was like good or just absolutely terrible, you know?
A very divided episode.
I remember going from like watching my video, which ultimately was positive, and then but at the same time I watched like Streviskunk's video where he just thrashed it like 3 out of 10, thought it was the worst thing ever, and I totally agreed with everything he said, even though I liked the episode. So after seeing something as divisive as that, going through these awful Spike episodes, and then Games Ponies Play just being weak as fuck, and after all that, it was pretty hard. So I really needed the season finale to be a big push, and it was, and I liked it. And it left me feeling good about going into this break. If it had been a weak finale, it would have been hard for me to be enthusiastic and to keep, because I think part of what makes me a fun guy to watch is that I'm so positive about the show. I want to be positive about the show. So
I kind of see where you're coming from and wanting to be positive.
Yeah, because I'm generally extremely positive about everything, and especially about MLP, because obviously I'm a gigantic fan of it. So yeah, it would have sucked to have gone into this season, to this break if I had disliked the episode, but I loved it, and I didn't just love it. I loved it like on a scale that was unbelievable, even to myself. So, you know, yeah, it really gave me everything I needed. I got that boost of adrenaline where it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to season 4. I'm gonna think of all the reasons it should be great. I'm gonna think of all the reasons that all the negative stuff that happened wasn't that big of a deal, and
Well, I believe we have our messiah for the hiatus.
Here's one thought I just had. You remember back in the Crystal Empire, and you often heard the line, "Oh, just wait until the season finale. Things will get wrapped up there." In regards to...
I had always thought that things were going to get wrapped up over the course of the entire season, so I had already lost all faith that that was going to happen by like episode 5, when they kind of just the whole training thing didn't seem like it was as big of a deal, and then I was like, oh, maybe it's not. But then they brought back the book, and I was like, okay, cool. So
yeah, and now we have to wait until the whole next season, and then 3 weeks for 3 episodes. For potentially the thing getting sorted out. It still hasn't been sorted out. When we talk about Alicorn Twilight, we're sort of like,
it really hasn't been sorted out. But
it's kind of like kind of like a soap opera. Oh look, there's a book thingy. Alright, let's carry on. Oh look, Alicorn Twilight. I just...
But well,
damn, they have wasted so much of our bloody time with these silly melodramas.
Nevertheless, let's hear how Skan will waste his time until season 4 and how he is looking forward to it, or if he is looking forward to it. Skan, you have the word.
I'll watch it when it comes out. As the saying goes, I came for the ponies, I'll stay for the bronies. But
probably
I'll watch it. I don't have too much faith in it at the moment, but I'm not going to be pessimistic about it. I'll go into it with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably start making a few more episodes, actually first episodes ever, on some of my thoughts on the fandom and stuff. I'll probably... by tonight or tomorrow night, be putting up my thoughts on a Cutie Marks Cutie Marks thing. A&Y Pony knows about that.
Kind of, yeah.
And if people want to go over and subscribe when they know it comes, and then afterwards, if they don't like it, unsubscribe, I won't feel bad if I see a whole bunch of subscribers leaving me. If you just want to keep an eye.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, it's like, I'm also open-minded about season 4, I'm just waiting for the things to come, and I'll use the hiatus to finally do what I actually started my channel for in the first place, some dramatic reading, until all the people tells me that my German accent is a terrible idea for dramatic readings, and I will do some analyzing stuff again.
Just read it all in German, they'll never know.
Oh, that's great. Und dann stellte Twilight fest, dass alles nur ein großer Fehler war und Rarity erzählt ihr irgendetwas, was keinen Sinn ergibt, weil keiner von euch mich versteht. Okay, back to English.
I'd listen to that.
At least this part was unfair. Yeah, but I guess...
so, closing comments or whatever?
I don't know.
Who's looking forward to Equestria Girls?
Oh yeah!
No, thank you.
I believe we have a nice topic for an upcoming podcast. Heyo!
Yeah.
Okay, I believe there were kind of closing comments already about where we are now, what we are hoping for, and.
I thought you sort of asked me, are you going to continue? And I was like,
yeah,
that's kind of a different question. All right.
Okay, but do
I
you
just
have?
got a little cheated there.
No problem. Do you have one closing comment you want to share with us?
I got something to say. I think there's an important lesson behind what the last bit of Season 3 has been going through. Given the amount of announcements and what kind of changes that we're not entirely enthusiastic about, disregarding the show, there's the whole Bronies documentary situation, and then there's the whole cancellation of Fighting His Magic. I think the important lesson behind all of this is that whatever changes in a general basis come to, you just got to learn to accept it. You know, it's one of those things where that tests you to keep calm and brony on. Sorry for the pun, but it's just expect the unexpected. I think that's what a real lesson is behind the fan base throughout the ending of Season 3 and ongoing to Season 4. So that's what I just wanted to point out there. Because I've seen a lot of people overreact in such a melodramatic way, especially the whole Alicorn Twilight drama that's been going around, that I had to put together a video about it. So, in general, if there's going to be some kind of change of some kind that we don't expect, You just have to learn to stomach it in and accept it for what it is.
I don't know. I think it's more like you have to, for me, because if you say that, it makes it sound like if someone genuinely, like, let's say that something that changes really just honestly ruins what you came for, then I could understand why you, like, obviously Byter really, like, telling Byter, dude, you should stick around for season 4 and just take whatever comes. It's like, obviously he's, you know, it's like, that's a kind of cruel thing to say if he's actually, for me, my message is more, assess what it is you care about in this show.
Partially that's true. Sorry to interrupt. Partially that is true, but whatever it is that happens in whatever airs on the show, you could really underestimate that, because one person's expectations or one person's perception could be dramatically changed away from what they expect, and something completely different comes in mind, and it could either impress them or leave them down completely uninterested.
Yeah, but
so,
I'm like, I wouldn't exactly tell Byter you should keep watching the show on the off chance that it might get good again, if it's just going to keep depressing him and making him like hate that he's watching it, you know? I think you should only stay a member of a fandom as long as it's fun and you're passionate about it, and if the passion is really dying for you, then it might be time to take a break. So,
well,
yeah.
That is true, but just regarding the fandom, just what happens in the show is what I was just referring to. And even though it does affect the fandom, everybody has their own perception on how they would watch the show and how they would interpret it as something.
Right.
And I don't want to try to say this in that you should just continue watching the show. Everybody has their own personal opinion, their own decision on what they want to go for. It's
important for them to assess that, you know, to make sure you know what you want out of the show. Like, you know, if it's something that wasn't actually like, let's say Fighting is Magic. I know some people who genuinely got, like Brony Curious, he genuinely got into the show because he found out about Fighting is Magic. Now, that may or may not still be the biggest deal to him, but, you know, if it's not, like, if you liked the idea of the game and you thought it was really cool, but it ultimately didn't have that much of an effect on why you like the show or why you like the fandom, then, yeah, don't freak out about it. But there is some legitimacy to if you genuinely were into the show, like, and it was a huge thing for you, and then it went away and you didn't want to deal with it anymore. I can understand why you would leave. It's just important that you need to know that about yourself. Don't freak out about something just because it happened. Freak out about it because you actually cared about it, you know.
I guess I'll finish off then, shall I?
Go ahead, Byter.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in, the show to me was special because it was more than stupid children's TV programming. That what it inspired in me and others was a sense of creativity because of how real the characters felt and how normal the events that unfolded were. Season 3, it has certainly thrown at us lots of things we've been expecting, that we've imagined to be true. But I feel that it has done a lazy job at it. It has undermined what was special to me about the show. And just because this finale is a lot of singing, and it wasn't very good singing, it doesn't make me passionate anymore. That spark I loved has gone. Yeah, this episode sucked. I just couldn't get through it. That's all I gotta say. I don't hate it. I'm just depressed.
Okay. So, thanks everybody for watching the show, and yeah, see you all next week, I guess. Bye bye.
All right. Later.
Ciao.